Okay, I'm out here today. I'm finished up a job where I had my mill head swiveled over at 45 degrees, and I figured I'd do a video on tramming the head back in. So that's what it's looking like right now. It's set at 45 degrees is what it's set at. So, and I've got the vise and everything off, and we're gonna tram this head in. I'll see if I can set you down over here to where you can kind of see what I'm doing. Just gonna get you a little closer. Just a second. I'm gonna round up a tripod. Okay, I got you set up on the tripod over here. First thing I'm gonna do is I've got this little I'm not sure what it's called. That just clamps onto the spindle. But I'm going to loosen up the bolts and crank it over to where it's close. And I'll just get it close by using the numbers on the side over here. This is the same as a Bridgeport as far as the head, tramming the head in. It's you go through the exact same steps on a Bridgeport. A little heavy there because it's swung way over. Better. We're at 20, 15, 10. I'll get you over here and I'll show you what I'm looking at. See, right here, I'm going to just line up the red with a 0. That'll get me close to start with, and then I'll finish it with an indicator. So and what, maybe, oops. So, and now what I do is I back it off carefully and kind of put the bolt in the center of because that's on a scroll plate kind of, and if you don't do that and you try to tap the head around, you may damage it. So now I'm not going to tighten them all the way up. I'm just going to snug the 4 bolts. Just like that. Okay. And then I'm going to take and put an indicator in there. I'm going to put you on a little stand on the table here. And put that light over here. Not good. How's that? A little bit better. Alright, so hopefully you can see it. I have that, I think it's called an indicoil. And I will attach my indicator to the end here. It's got a little dovetail bracket on the end of this, if I can get it. It is hotter than blitz outside and humid. Inside the shop here, it's probably, I'd say 72, 73 degrees. It's pretty nice in here. So, I think I'm going to get the tripod over here again, because I have to back you up so I can actually work on doing this here. Hopefully this tripod, this is one of my junkier tripods. Oh, see what I mean? And I'm dropping the camera on the floor. Alright. Alright, you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Yeah, sure. I'm going to get the spindle. I'm going to get the spindle center line on one of the table cross beams here and get it in the center. You want to get your table in the center so that it's not, because if they're worn and you don't have it totally locked, it actually can move around. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lock my X, lock my Y, and then the Z or the knee lock, I'm going to lock that. So everything is locked. And then I will bring this down with the quill. And really, the further you're out on the quill, it magnifies it a little bit so that you can actually get a little bit better reading. Same thing with, for the distance out you go this way also. So we just, I might have to unlock my knee and bring it up a little bit. Nah, that'll be all right. Hopefully that I'm still in the shot here. So I'll set the indicator down on it and bring it around to a 0 here, or a number, because it's gonna take some doing. Okay, so now we're at 0. Let's see if you're seeing that. All right, I'll take you back off. Okay, so we're set up and we're at about a half a thou. So we're just going to move it around carefully. And you don't want to bottom your indicator out on the stroke. You want to put it like at the beginning of the stroke. I got mine set a little. You know, you only want the needle to move just a little bit. It's easier. The needle won't bounce, and you'll actually get have better luck doing it. But you can see here, I'm not touching it at all. So I'm going to take and push that down till it's just touching. And like I say, what number it's at, it doesn't matter as long as you know it. So we're set just a tad under the 10 mark now. I don't know if you can see that or not. There's kind of a glare. And then we're going to go all the way around again. And this time it's going to read heavy over here. So I think. Anyway. Yeah, I think the needle went all the way, yep, it went all the way around. It went all the way around and bottomed out. So that means that it's got to swing that way. So a lot of times you can just take, if you don't tighten this up too tight, you can actually just take and go. I tightened it up, I think, a little too tight. I'll go around to the other side here and see where. Well, it actually did move. I'm just whacking it with my hand, and now I'm going to just make sure that that's still in a position where it's not putting any tension on anything. Okay, so it bounced around. The needle bounced around, so we're at 10 again. Just barely putting anything on it. Using hardly any of the travel, I should say. And we're still bottoming out over here. So I'm going to loosen these up a little bit. It's got them a little snug. You gotta just barely, if you don't want to get a hammer out and start whacking on it. I mean, I don't want to do that. I like to just use my palm of my hand, and I'm going to swing it around to where I can see, because it's bottomed out and moves the needle. Actually, it's right on the verge of bottoming out, or on the edge of bottoming out, because it didn't move the needle at all. if I can get a spot where it's not. So whatever I move here, it's going to move up over there, because you know it's. So you only want to move half of what you're off. So we'll start with that right there, and now I'll bring it up until it's just touching and just using a little bit of the travel. I don't want to use all the travel. I could use a travel indicator where I could have a lot of travel, but I find I have better results with a dial indicator. Okay, we were at 10. We were at 10, and now over here we're at 15.5. So I only want to go like 7.25 thousandths. So just a couple little taps up here should do that. Right. Oh, wait a minute. No, I don't want to go 7. I want to go halfway between here, so 2.5. So confusing myself. I've done this only if I had a nickel for every time I trammed a head in, I'll tell you what, I could have retired already by now. You get, especially people at work, they'll tilt their head and they'll finish what they're doing and they just leave it. So for the next person to come along and then end up having to tram the head, but okay, we're closer. Actually, we went too much. Ooh. All right. 10. We're within 2 thou now, so I need to move it a thou. Wrong way. Right there. Okay. We're at 11. I'm going to move my indicator. I've moved it so that the 0 is, so we can actually use the 0. Maybe. A lot of spring in this. That's the only thing I don't like about that Indy coil. You let it sit there a while and it tends to alright, we're about a 1/4 thou above the 0. So now we'll go around to the other side. Now this is just tramming it from left to right, not in and out. Okay, either my indicator moved or I messed up. So I'm going to say my indicator moved, and I'm just going to try to re-zero this. See, when you bounce off of the edge here, if you go too fast, a lot of times you can bounce that indicator around and that number will change. And it looks like we are 2 thou yet. Oop, too far. Okay, we're 1. We are 1 thou below 0. Now if I can carefully bounce in anything, I can see my in and out, or on my y-axis needs to be trimmed also, the way it looked there. Okay, so we're 1 thou below, so I'm going to tighten these up a little bit, make sure it doesn't move. Okay, still at one thou. Yep, still at one thou. Now we should be able to swing around, and should be it. If I didn't bounce it too hard there again. Okay, so now we want to do the in and out. I'm going to do that right away too. So I got to unlock the stuff, or unlock the knee. And, well, actually I can just pull the spindle up a little bit, because now I want to center the spindle on the center slot of the table. Unlock my y-axis here, and then basically eyeball that on the center. The reason for is because I'm going to use here and here to, I'm going to lock the table here, and we will see what we got here. I have to take the spindle up. I got to put you down here. I don't know if you're even seeing the indicator or not. Okay, I got the needle set at 0. And we are 2 thou on Y, and we are high, or we're tilted outward, so the front has to go down. Now here is another story. Whatever you move, you're only going to get a portion of it. So 2 thou would probably equal maybe 3 or 4 thou. You have to chase it around a little bit, but we'll get it. So I got to loosen up the 3 bolts on the I hadn't trammed this in a while, so I can believe that it would be off a little bit. So now the bolt for that is back here, and it doesn't take much to move it, so I want to go. It was 2 thou. It was 2 thou above, so we got to go this way. I went pushing it the wrong way there. And this one here I don't tap. I actually use the bolt. I'm going to go 3. So I went 3 thou on that. So now I'm going to 0 that, if I can. Chase that 0 around. Come on. There we go. Let's just go off, come back on. Okay, so we're at 0. And we'll go around to the back. See, now we're within a half thou. It's like, I'm kind of looking at it at an angle. You guys are actually getting a better shot than I am. But I'm going to tighten them up right there. I'm going to tighten up the half dowel for me is good enough. And tighten those back up. And then I'm going to double check. It actually got a little bit better. Looks like maybe from the angle that I'm looking at it from over here, it looks like about just a shade high of 0. So now, and look at that. The shade high of 0. So it's pretty much right on this way. Now we'll go back and double check what we did earlier here. I gotta unlock my y-axis again so I can move over to one of the lands here on the table and lock that. And now we are half a thou below, so I'm saying it's half thou off. Yep, we're half a thou off. So I'll take and put it over here. Oh, now see, I bounced my indicator around. God darn it. Well, I know that I got to move it a half thou. So I'll loosen this up and give her a couple taps. Okay. All right. And I think I had to go this way. All right. Zero the indicator back out. Okay, we're about a couple tenths above the 0. I went the wrong way and I went too far. So I'm going to put you on the tripod here for a second, and I will attempt to get this corrected. I'm actually using the screw now. I just barely got them snugged. Alright, so I'm going to zero my indicator out. Slowly swing around to the other side. It's looking good. Okay, now we're we're at 0 all the way around. So now I want to tighten up these screws. Tighten them up tight. And then I'm going to just double check, make sure that nothing has moved from side to side. Ooh, too fast again. That looks good. So there we go. We're all trammed in. And the thing is, I've noticed some people that do their milling and they don't crank the knee up and down. Instead they'll pull the spindle. They'll pull the spindle way out like that to reach down instead of cranking that knee up. What that does is, if you don't have these 4 screws super tight, it increases the fulcrum point. It's way back here, and now you've got way more leverage on those 4 bolts. I mean, you can actually move your head around, and that goes for that, for X and Y, and it also goes for your Y-axis. It can actually, if you're extended way down with a big end mill down here, you're putting way more pressure on your head than you really need to. Instead, keep it up as high as you can when especially if you're doing some heavy milling. Light milling, yeah, you can do it. You can get away with that. But if if you're doing some heavy milling, keep that quill up as high as you can, because that just makes it a lot less on 4 bolts that hold the swivel on it. So anyway, I've got it all trammed in, and now I'm going to go put my vise on, and it'll be ready for whatever project comes along. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys later.